Hello, my name is Zach Gibbs, and I'm a content developer within education services inside Juniper Networks. And today we will be going through the Apstra Resources Creating ASN Pools Learning Byte. All right, so here is our topology. In this topology, we have a few different devices I want to talk about. We have the IP fabric, which has 2 spines and 4 leaves. There's spine 1, spine 2, which are the spines, and then leaf 1, leaf 2, leaf 3, and border leaf 1 that are the leaves. And then we have the servers that are connected to the leaf devices at the bottom. And what we want to do here is we want to create some ASN pools in preparation for creating an IP fabric. ASN pools will be used for making external connections to, say, a external router. ASN pools will be used for the underlay and overlay BGP sessions. And so these ASN pools are obviously very important for building an IP fabric. Now, keep in mind that we won't be assigning these ASN pools. This learning byte is simply focused on creating the ASN pools. And if you look at the ASN pools, there are 3 different pools we will be configuring. First is the IP fabric 1, IP fabric 2, then external. Now, we really only for this topology need IP fabric 1. That's more than enough autonomous system numbers. We can pass that out for the underlay and the overlay. Both of those will work just fine. But maybe we don't. Maybe we want to use one for the overlay and one for the underlay. That's a possibility. Or maybe, hey, let's just create an extra one. Maybe we're going to be connecting another data center in with Apstra later on, and we're here, so let's just create the resources. And then the external, this could be the BGP session that we use from the border leaf to the external router. And so with that being said, let's go ahead and jump to the Apstra web interface and get this going. All right, so here is the Apstra web interface. First, we need to go to Resources on the left, and then we need to select ASN Pools. And here under ASN Pools, you can see that there's nothing configured. So let's go ahead and create one by clicking the Create ASN Pool button. And we're presented with the Create ASN Pool window where we can specify the name and the ranges. And so we're going to say IP fabric 1, and we're going to specify the range of 65001 to 65100. And there's a few different buttons here. We can add another range if we want to add something additional. We could select the Create Another button and click Create, which will immediately bring up a new Create ASN Pool window, and then we can obviously create a new ASN pool. So let's do that. Selected the Create Another option, and let's click Create. And here we can create another one. Now I'm going to create the external ASN pool for a reason. I'll show you in just a minute. So 65301 to 65302. And let's go ahead and click Create. And you can see here we've created the 2 ASN pools. And what we can do now is we want to create that IP fabric 2 pool. And say you're just doing this, you only need the 1 IP fabric pool, but all of a sudden, like, whoa, we got another data center we need to manage. So, okay, let's create IP fabric 2, which is going to be very similar to IP fabric 1. So what we can do there, instead of just creating a new one from scratch, we can click the Clone button on the right here, and that'll allow us to duplicate IP fabric 1 and make a few changes. So let's do that. We can see here that it brings up a new IP fabric pool, and just is basically the same thing with a copy statement on the end here. So let's delete that and call this IP fabric 2. And then we need to change the actual range. We'll say 101 to 200. And we'll click Clone. And when we do that, that drops us into the details of that ASN pool. And you can see here the name, the status is not in use, total usage is 0 out of 100. Range usage is 0 out of 100. That's because we only have one range. So the total usage is the same as just the one range. And we can see the ASN range, the actual numbers that are part of this ASN pool. And what we can do here is we can edit it, we can delete it, and we can clone it if we want. So let's go ahead and edit this. Let's add an additional range here. This wasn't specified in the topology, but let's go ahead and add a range. Let's just say 65400 to 65401. Very small range. We can update this. You can see we have an additional range in here. And then the total usage goes up because we added an additional range. It's a small range of 2. 0 out of 2 is being used, but it does add to it. And then we can go back to ASN Pools, and we can see all of our ASN pools here. Now notice that what we see here in the summary is kind of what we saw in the detailed output or detailed display for just the one ASN pool. We can see the total usage, the range usage, as well as the numbers for the ASN range, and then the status as well. Now we can query based on the pool name or the status. Status we can query on not in use, and the pool name we can query just on what the pool is. And we can say here, say we have a lot of pools configured. Granted, we don't have that right here, but say in the future we have a lot, and we're naming them similar with the fabrics, similar with externals or whatever. And so let's just search on fabric. Click apply here, and it only brings up the fabric ASN numbers or ASN pools. And so let's go ahead and clear that. And we see all the pools here. And one last thing we can do is we can get rid of these pools, right? They're not in use. Let's delete them. And that's very simple. We just click the delete button for each pool, and this will get rid of the pools. And then from there, you could create new pools or whatever you need to do. And so this does bring us to the end of this Learning Byte. In this Learning Byte, we demonstrated how to create ASN pools with Apstra. So as always, thanks for watching.
Visit the Juniper Education Services website to learn more about courses. View our full range of classroom, online, and e-learning courses. Learning paths, industry segment and technology-specific training paths. Juniper Network's certification program, the ultimate demonstration of your competence. And the training community, from forums to social media. Join the discussion.